Hey Legionnaires, and welcome back. We're with some more Rise of Mordor for you today, and yes, this is the long-awaited unit overview, and today, as you can see, we are doing Gondor. This is like probably the final unit overview I'll be doing for a little while, mainly because not many of the other factions you could say are like complete. Yes, Gondor is probably one of the more like complete and one of the larger factions, like one of the larger rosters, up there now with probably like the dwarves, like having one of the largest rosters. But yeah, so we will get underway anyway because we have a lot of units to get through. But if you are enjoying seeing Rise of Mordor and would like to see some more unit overviews, then do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're around here, and a comment to show your support. And don't forget to hit that notification bell as well so you know when the next Rise of Mordor video is out. Yeah, so here we go. Here is the first unit that we'll be looking at today. This is the Hillmen of Lambden. Lambden being like a part of like Gondor. I'm not exactly sure what part, but it's like one of the fiefs, you could kind of say. And this is a light melee infantry unit. It's like the cheapest infantry around. It's got very poor missile block chance, very poor armor, good melee defense. As you can see, it's got a huge unit. It's 190 men, so it's like at the same size as like an Uruk Throng Orc warrior unit. So you know it's not gonna be great. Its melee attack down there at 24, melee damage at 32, melee defense at 42. So actually, it's not like the worst thing in the world. Like defense, but like obviously you could do better. Health at 80 and its armor is at 25, so it's slightly better in armor than like some other like really poor Levee units that we've seen before, like certainly like the Orcs, like an Isengard who got some really poor like armored units for their levies, but this is a little bit better. And then yeah, it's speed at 36, which is like it's still like got more armor than some other units, and it's like still able to and it still moves quite quickly, put it like that. And it's missile block at 15 as well, so it's doing okay. But yeah, as it's a Levee unit, it's you just don't really bring this unit. I recommend probably not bringing this. You're not going to get a lot of like kills, or maybe just use it for like pushing a ram up. You don't really want to bring this unit for like and expect to get kills from it, because it's not going to. But anyway, we'll move on to the next sword unit, which is over here. Here we see this unit a little bit more. This is the Gondor Sword Militia. This is ever so slightly better than the Men of Lambden, like the Hillmen of Lambden, but I honestly don't think it is. I've melee attack down at 22, melee damage at 36, melee defense at 44. It's like got very, very similar stats. Armor at 45 though, which is like much better actually than the Lambden Hillman, but and its health at 80, so that seems like it's going to be a constant, is that health at 80, so keep that in mind when we look at other units. Morale at 38, speed still at 36, missile block at 15, so it's very similar in stats. It's a light melee infantry, again, still in the Levee sort of category. Very poor missile block chance, good melee defense, and poor melee attack. So yeah, it's not a great unit. You probably just want to bring this unit and probably want to use it either like push a ram up or maybe hold the wall just to allow your archers to like get some shots off, get some easy kills. Yeah, it's not really a unit that you want to bring, really. But now we are moving on to some more, like some of the units we see a bit more often on the battlefield. So the next unit is in fact these boys here. It's the Ringloadvale Men at Arms. These guys cost about 700, and it's a solid unit. Ringloadvale Men at Arms. You can only bring 3. Which is a bit strange that they do limit like the mid-tier like sort of unit, but I guess maybe because it's just a really good unit for your money. Definitely worth. Otherwise you'd probably spam it out. But yeah, Ringloadvale, obviously another part of Gondor is Ringloadvale, and I didn't really learn my geography exactly where this is, but yeah, excellent melee defense, you can see there, average melee attack, and it's very poor missile block chance still at 15. So like even for like your extra money that you're spending, and this is still a trained unit, it's medium melee, so we've gone up a bit. This is still cannot really stop itself from being shot. If it gets shot, it's gonna die. It's morale at 45. Well, actually no, its base morale is 34, so it's not actually as good as I thought, because it's got a lot of like units surrounding it at the moment. It's a health at 80. Its armor still at 45, so it's the same as the Militia. Its melee defense is at 51, so it's a really solid unit. Put that in shield wall. This unit is not budging for a long time, so it's a really good unit to hold a choke point. Its melee attack, as you can see, is down at 29. It's actually not. I mean, that's a little bit better than what we've seen before, but it's still not that great. Really, like its melee defense, like what you're getting it for is a defensive unit. So that's obviously like kind of how Gondor plays. Often I'd say you can be aggressive with Gondor, but if you're going to bring this unit, you're probably playing a defensive game. probably on a siege defense somewhere because you've got lower funds. So you bring these units, and this is a solid unit to bring. 170 men, so it's still like a large unit. So it's like still quality is not quite there because the size of the unit shows. So, but yeah, a really good unit. Probably why it's limited to 3, because otherwise like defenders would spam this unit out. And now we move on to the next unit, and this is what we see a lot of, obviously. Gondor Sword Infantry. I mean, this is the iconic warrior of Gondor. This is what we like think of when you see Gondor. There's these sword warriors here, and they look awesome. This is like Gondor, one of the oldest factions, like in the mod. Still looks great, really does. They're like Gondor's armor is just. It's just top notch. It is, really is. But yeah, this is a very heavy melee infantry. It's only trained, which is really bizarre. I'm surprised it wasn't elite, but I guess Gondor doesn't really like have an elite army. It's just got a very standard professional army. And as you can see here, it's excellent armor, excellent melee defense, good missile block chance. Melee attack at 37. It's melee defense down at 46. So I mean, it's still pretty good in defense, but it's not like top good. It's still like got a few things wrong with it, put it like that. It's armor at 90, its health at 80, its morale at 49. Well, actually, no, that's with the increase. So its base is 38. It's a little bit better in morale than Ringloadvale men arms. And you're spending about 1,000 for each one of these. So like, just keep that in mind. Like 1,000 per unit. Quite a lot for like for these guys anyway. And then what we got here, and then speed at 30, so it's down a little bit because it obviously is very heavy. Missile block at 60. Finally we have a unit that can kind of block itself from a missile. But yeah, it's a solid unit. All of it starts really all around really good. This is a unit that if you have the money, you just spam out on the, if you're bringing this Gondor on the attack, you spam these guys out. On the defense, you probably bring a lot of these guys as well. They are a really good unit. Definitely like worth bringing to the battlefield. But there you go, there are all the swords. We will now move on to the spears, and then so I'll catch you guys in a moment. So here we are with the spears, and as before, we'll start with the worst and work our way up. So yes, here we go with the Gondor Spear Militia. So they don't have anything lower like the Land and Hillmen, like they do with the swords. Spear Militia is where we start. We're starting one up now. Very similar to the Sword Militia, just a slightly worse because spears are more of a defensive unit than they are an offensive unit. So again, very poor missile block, still down there with that bog standard 15 missile block. We've got good melee defense actually at 44, so it's not too bad. Not at the same level as say like the Ringloadvale arms, but it's still a pretty good unit, and it's poor melee attack. Yeah, it's a spear. Spears aren't known for their attack. You're using this to just like keep people at bay. So you're really a defensive unit. Armor at 45 though, so it's not like terrible. Like I've seen worse armor on like Levee units before. Like Gondor's Levee units aren't that bad. They will probably still break because like usually the first wave of like a siege, for instance, they're facing much more elite units. Usually like a trained unit, like a Loki Rim, or a like a I don't know, like a Dwarven Warrior or something like that. They're going to face something a lot more sturdy. Their morale is also not too bad. I mean, it's 38 there, but it's actually 27 base. It's like okay, but it's nothing amazing. Speed at 36. It is a pretty low armored unit. It is going to be able to move really quickly. Not much more to say about that. It's light spear. Yeah, don't really have much to say about that. It's a militia. Now we move on to another like sort of unique unit that you're not able to bring too many of. Another unit that's limited to 3, and that's the Penethgillen Spearmen. I really like this unit. I like to see this unit, and also like gives a bit of colour and pizzazz to Gondor, which is already like mainly like blue and silver. You see a bit of green in there, but look at that as well. All their stats green as well. Excellent armour, excellent melee defence, average missile block chance. It's a really good unit for like the money. Again, it's similarly like at like 700 or something like that. But 170 men is still in the unit, so it's still not like a top unit really. But it's a trained unit. Its melee attack is 26. You don't really want to bring this on the attack, but on the defense, it's a really good unit to bring. Armor at 70. That's nearly on the same level as Gondor swords. It's only 20 below, and it costs you a lot less. Its missile block chance at 50 as well. It's got a good chance of blocking. Its morale, sorry, is at 34. So that's kind of like the sort of average I'm finding with Gondor. Melee damage at 27. Like these stats aren't like amazing, but it's like really good in average, I think, for the money as well. Penethgillen, a really good unit to bring. And again, it just looks really nice. I think with a nice green pizzazz to it, it looks awesome. And then we move on to a bit more of the like the elites, we call it like that. I mean, we're back with the Gondor Spear Infantry, sorry, which is obviously like the spear alternative to the Gondor swords. Looking awesome as ever. This unit just is top notch. Can't say much more about it than that. And yeah, again, all green stats. You got excellent armor, excellent melee defense, good missile block chance, melee attack at 34, melee damage at 27. Again, like melee defense is 46. So I mean, yeah, he's like melee damage is 27. I think that's like a standard for the spears. Melee attack's a little bit better than it was with Penikilin. Armor at 90 again. Its morale is at 38, so it's a little bit better. Its missile block chance at 60, so it's still really good at at blocking. Only 10 better though than the Penikilin, going back to them. But yeah, no, a solid unit, worth bringing really. Again, if you play more defensive game, you probably want to bring a few of these. Hold the line, let your archers then do a lot of work. But yeah, a really, really all-round good unit. 140 men in a unit. So like we're getting to the elite sort of level now. And now we'll move on to the final unit. And that is, for the spears anyway, and that is the Citadel Guard. We see this unit a lot in sieges. And you can bring this unit. This is a very strange unit because you can bring this unit on the offensive or on the defensive. There's only a few spear units around. Probably the Iron Guard being another with the Dwarves of Erebor. That you can bring on the offensive and the defensive. But the Citadel Guards, you can see melee attack at 43. That's insanely good for a spear unit on a melee attack. It's melee defense at 50. It's damage at 27, so obviously, yeah, spears damage is the same. It's health at 100, so we're seeing a difference from that 80, typical 80. And then armor at 115. This unit can take a lot of beating. Its morale is at 51. This unit does not break. I can swear down to you. You can do a lot of damage to this unit. You can surround it. You can do whatever. It will not break. Unless you've lost a general or army losses, this unit's going down to the last man. Missile block at 85. You can see there with its big shield. Like, you're not getting an arrow through that. If they form shield wall, good try and getting past that, basically. Yeah, very heavy, elite spears. These guys guarding the White Tree of Gondor. You do not mess with these guys. They are an absolute menace. But there you go. There are all the spears. We're now going to move on to the pikes and then onto shock infantry. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Welcome back anyway, and we're here with the pikes and pole arms now, and we are starting off with the pole arms for Gondor. And yeah, this is the Prince's Coast Guard, which is their only pole arm unit. It's a pretty decent unit. I mean, if you can't afford to bring the next unit that we're going to mention, then definitely the Prince's Coast Guard is definitely a good alternative. As this man just shouts over me, how rude. But yeah, we've got the very poor missile block chance, good melee defense, poor armor. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, they're not the greatest stats in the world. This unit is not a unit you want to be bringing if there's a lot of archers. If you're facing the elves, or maybe even like another men faction, like Dale, for instance, who've got really, really good archers, you do not want to be bringing this unit. Like, these guys are pretty damn nasty. Like, you do not want to bring them. And, I mean, you can see their melee attack at 28, melee damage at 36. So, I mean, it's got pretty good melee damage. It's better than the spear, put it like that. But its melee attack is not like the greatest. You do not want to use this unit offensively, certainly. You want to be putting it in a choke point, in a street, and just defending there. Melee defense at 32. So, again, not as really good as some of the spears you want to bring. Like, you could bring spears instead of this Prince's Coast Guard, and you do much better. The only reason you may bring this unit, with those stats taking in mind, is that it is a pole arm unit. So, you want the enemy to waste their ammo on your pole arms. To maybe like save something else. I don't know, to maybe save like other archers or more elite infantry. But really, you don't want this unit being around archers or like any missiles at all. It's a very, very vulnerable unit. Probably one of the weakest units that Gondor has in its roster, I'd say, for various reasons. Armor at 40, as you can see, that's lower than a lot of other units in Gondor's roster. Like the Citadel Guard, Gondor Infantry, Spear or Sword. Even like Peneth are like better than these guys for armor. Health at 90, so it has got a little bit more health than like the average Gondor troop, which is at 80. Its morale is also pretty it's pretty good at 38. It's better than some units, but like the thing is that this unit can get evaporated really quickly by archers, so like its morale doesn't really take much to like be destroyed. It's 34 speed, so it's a bit slower, which is expected with a pole arm. But yeah, it's a pretty good unit. Like I said, you don't want to bring it if like the enemy's got a lot of like archers. It used to be really good with against Erebor, because Erebor's like crossbows are so temperamental. But now that they have archers, that's not so much the case. I guess maybe Mordor would be an option to play against, like with this unit. But even then, Mordor's archers aren't terrible. But anyway, we'll move on to the next unit, and that is the Fountain Guard. We are on to the elites already. That is it's a very quick jump. You go from trained Princess Coast Guard to the elite Fountain Guard. This unit is, well, obviously another very famous unit, as you see it in the movies, defending the White Tree of Gondor. And you can see there all green stats, excellent melee defense, excellent melee attack, good armor. It's got 110 men in the unit, same as the Citadel Guard, so you know it's an elite unit just from that number. Melee attack, again, 34. You don't really necessarily want to use this on the melee, like on the attack. Melee damage at 18. So it's, again, yeah, Pikes not really like the most effective way to kill someone. It says damage is not great. You require to do a lot of shoving and stuff like that. It's an awkward weapon, basically. I like how its charge bonus is 3. Yeah, you would not want to charge this unit in. Melee defense at 36, which is not too bad. To be fair, and its armor at 60, which is one of the most surprising stats that I find here. It's less armored than a Gondor Sword Infantry, which is kind of really bizarre because, like, I see this unit often get focus fired by archers, and it does not die, but like that. Its health is 100 in fairness, which may be the reason why I see this. But yeah, even still, like, this unit is hard to kill with archers. And its morale is also really, really good. I mean, again, at 51, same as Citadel Guard. This unit, again, you can do whatever you want. You can surround it, whatever. It is hard to kill and hard to break. Probably a bit easier than the Citadel Guard because it's a pike. Pikes do not like being surrounded. But even still, really, really hard. Missile block at 35, so it's a little bit better on missile block than various other units around it. Most of the swords are pretty awful in missile block, and so this is and they have shields. This doesn't even have a shield, and it's got a bit better missile block chance. But yeah, a really good unit. Again, don't really want archers to be around it. As you can see, there was some of those stats. Armor is not the greatest, but yeah, even still, like, it can tank a couple of good volleys. So like late game, bringing this unit out, that could be like the end game really for your opponent. Certainly much better in a siege than in a pitch battle, because obviously pitch battles, pikes and polearms, they're easy to get around, harder in a siege battle. But anyway, I will move on to the shock infantry now, which I'm kind of just going to like throw in with the pikes and the polearms, because there's only one unit, and it is the Warriors of Losnark. This is the only shock infantry unit for Gondor, and this is probably what makes Gondor like its weakest point, is its shock infantry. Shock infantry obviously is a very, very key unit for breaking through choke points in settlements, especially against units like the factions like dwarves, elves, who often have either really good shock themselves or just really good on defense. And yeah, this Warriors of Losnark costs like 900, and it is just not worth it for your money. It's got very poor missile block chance, which most shock infantry does anyway, in fairness. Poor melee defense, again, what most shock infantry has. Good melee attack, only good melee attack, which is a bit disappointing in my eyes. But I guess that's what the devs have gone for. Like, Gondor is a really good overall faction, got good cav, got good infantry, got pretty good archers, but its shock infantry is where it is let down. And I kind of like that. I like that there is a weakness for every faction, and in the case of Gondor, it is shock infantry. It's melee attack of 36, which is pretty abysmal for most shock infantry when you're looking across like the board. You've got the dwarves are looking in like the high 50, like in the 50s, high 40s sometimes. Elves are very similar, in like the 40s. And so yeah, this is a pretty like poor unit. Like, I don't know if you're limited with Losnark. I never really bring them, so I would never even know. I think you are limited to 3. But yeah, I wouldn't even bring 1, really. Like, if I was Gondor, I'd be bringing just lots of swords and pikes. But pikes are a really good way for Gondor to break through. But yeah, so you can see here, it's got really poor armor at 40, and it's also got like really bad missile block, with back to that 15 on missile block. Morale is also going to be pretty poor. It's at 34, which seems like the standard for Gondor. Health at 80. Yeah, it's just not a good unit. 170 men in a unit. I like that they've upped the size of the unit because it is a pretty poor unit. And it's only medium shock infantry, so yeah, you can see that it's not the heaviest in the world either. Like, it's not in the main mod, but like, for instance, Dol Amroth has Haven Guard, which is like, I guess the other, like, only other shock infantry I could really think of that maybe Gondor could maybe do with having. But I kind of like that they don't. I like that like Dol Amroth has it, because it kind of makes more sense. But yeah, like Haven Guard is like very heavy shock infantry that it just destroys all. And that would be really, like, that would be kind of cool if Gondor had it, but I kind of respect that they don't, to be honest, because maybe it would make Gondor maybe too overpowered. But there you go, there is all the shock infantry. I am now going to move on to the archers, and then on to the skirmishers and cav. And that is kind of then it. So we'll move on to the archers right away. Okay, so here we are with the archers, and again, we'll start from worst and we'll go all the way to the best. So yeah, we are here with the bow militia. Obviously, Gondor has just like a bit of militia for everything, so you've got the bow, spear, and sword militia. And as you can see here, it's not really worth bringing. 190 men in a unit, and all red stats. You've got very poor missile block, very poor, poor melee defense, and poor accuracy. Its range is okay at 150, but like it's going to get outranged by, I think, all elves and probably any like superior like archers like bardings. I think also outrange them. Ammunition at 24. That's a pretty much standard thing for archers. I kind of like that. Like even the worst to the best like archers all have the same amount of ammo. Missile block chance there at 15. Yeah, if this unit's getting hit by an arrow, it's going down. Its armor at 35. Yeah, it's pretty awful. I mean, this is the typical sort of stats for a Levee, like Gondor infantry, really. Or like Levee Gondor troops. Accuracy at 17 is also pretty poor. Yeah, this unit's just not really worth bringing. I guess maybe worth bringing if you have like an extra bit of like a bit of money left, and you're like, well, I could do with another arch unit, because it will just like soak up ammo, like for a little while before it breaks. Like that's maybe useful in like a pitched battle or in a siege, making the opponent waste some of his much needed ammo on this unit rather than on more elite units. But we'll move on to the next unit, which is here we have the Blackroot Vale Archers, which I actually rate. I've seen these recently in a few siege battles, and I really like to see really like them. I like their armor as well. As we're like actually just phasing through someone. Like look at that helmet. I really like that. Again, Blackroot Vale, another part of like another fief of Gondor. Still really poor stats, so you can see a very poor missile block chance, poor accuracy, and poor melee defense. It's actually slightly better at 23. Its range is at 200, so you can see that it will outgun the Gondor bow militia. And its like missile block is still at 15. It's still got pretty poor armor, pretty similar armor to like the militia. It's as you can see there, it's 40 armor is just the same, and all of its other stats are pretty awful. Like melee attack 20, melee damage 25. Melee defense 24. If this unit get 21, if this unit gets into combat, it's getting cut down to pieces. It's slightly better, and then it's trained and it's got 170 men, and yeah, there's not much more to say about it really. Its morale, I mean 25. If this unit gets cut down, it's dying. It's routing. But anyway, we'll move on to the professionals now. The professionals. We have the Gondor Archers. Again, another iconic sort of unit. This is kind of like what we just saw the entire Gondor army look like in the movies. It's a very good unit. I actually would rate this better than the next unit that we're going to see. And it's a heavy bow infantry. It's a good armor, average defense, poor melee defense though, which is kind of surprised that is there. But I guess it's an archer. It won't have the greatest melee defense. It only has a sword. Its armor at 60, so it's not quite as good armored as it, which is kind of weird. It's got literally the same sort of armor look as the spears and the swords. Yeah, it has less armor, which I'm kind of surprised about, but I guess maybe they didn't want to have a too heavily armored archer unit. Its range at 200, accuracy at 33, so we're getting slightly better. It's like a third of like its shots are going to hit and connect, I guess, if you want to put it in like that. Missile block at 35 now, so it can somehow dodge the arrows a little bit better. And so this unit is really good. I think this is a really good unit. One of the more heavily armored units you can bring and just like spam out if you want to. And it will go head to head with just about any arch unit in the game and do quite well, apart from maybe like some of the elves units. This could go like toe to toe with quite a lot of archers and probably win in many scenarios. It's a really solid unit. I would recommend bringing this over the next arch unit for various reasons I'll come on to now. And the next arch unit is the Athelian Rangers. They are the most elite archers that Gondor has available, because they can and they are elite, and they are a very handy unit for various reasons. It depends really on the battle you're fighting. If you're playing aggressive, definitely maybe want to try and bring Athelian Rangers, because they have like the Vanguard ability, so they can like spawn ahead of like your army, and they can harass. And they're also really difficult to find. They can stay hidden until you're basically on top of basically until you're on top of them. But they are really bad in like a prolonged duel with archers, even though their accuracy is at 51, so that like 1 in 2 shots is hitting and connecting and killing. It's like got really poor armor, as you can see. They're very poor missile block chance as well. It's like 15 armor and it's got 10 missile block chance. That's lower than the Gondor Bow Militia, which is a concern. But it's really good in melee. It's got a really good melee defense and 50 melee defense and 47 in melee attack. So it's really, really good in those two areas. Like, you chevron this Athelian Ranger up, it is a really nasty unit. Its melee damage as well is also 36. So it's really good in melee. As you see in like the movies, they're a pretty like versatile unit that they can fight in both like from range and close quarters. Its ammunition is actually slightly higher. It's at 26. They have a little bit more ammo, bigger quiver, I guess. And its range is still at 200. And its base morale is 55. So this unit, even though like it may like get vaporized in an archer fight, it will like be there to the last couple of men basically. So it's pretty good. Its health is at 100 as well, I should mention. So like it does make up in that way for armor. But I still would rather bring the Gondor Archers over Athelian Rangers, just because of like certainly in a siege. If you're defending, you don't really want to bring these guys. Maybe on the offensive in a siege, they're probably quite good to bring. But do not really want to bring these guys on the defensive. They will probably get destroyed by many archers. But anyway, we will now move on to the cavalry and the skirmishers. So I'll see you guys in a moment. So here we are with another unit that we don't often see really in any sort of videos that I cover. It's just the Anfless Coast Levees. We don't often see Javies, to be honest, in many Rise of Mordor videos, because people just don't like to bring them for some reason. But certainly in pitch battles, they're very, very useful. Maybe not this unit. If you maybe got a little bit of money left, you might bring this unit, because you're like, well, I want some Javies. But yeah, it's, as you can see there, poor stats and everything. It's another Levee unit. Very poor armor, very poor missile block chance, poor accuracy. Actually down at 17, so it's just as bad really as those Bow Militia, really. It's range at 60, so that's the thing as well with like javelins. You've got to get really close, do a lot of damage with them. So and they only have 8 ammunition, so it's like that's kind of the trade-off. Like they're going to do a lot of damage, but you've not got as many like javelins as you do like arrows, because javelins are much bigger. And yeah, missile block chance, you can see that 15. We're back to that bog standard 15. Armor at 15. Yeah, just some really poor stats here for like Anfless Coast Levees. But like I said, it's a unit that you might bring just to if you have a little bit of money left in a pitch battle, or like maybe even a siege. And like, yeah, I'm gonna just bring these guys along for the ride. But yeah, it's a fun unit to bring. But I prefer to bring this unit, which is the Peliga Marines. I really like the look of the Peliga Marines. I think it's actually probably one of my favorite looking like units in a weird way. Certainly for Gondor, I really like the look of them. And yeah, they are actually a pretty solid unit. As you can see here, all green stats, good melee defense, average accuracy, average missile block chance. I really hope we see these guys more often in like Rise of Mordor replays, because they're a really fun unit to bring. Range at 60 again still, ammunition at 6, which I think is actually lower than Anfless Coast Levees. No, it's not. It's this. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, Anfless Coast Levees have 8. I thought they did. So yeah, these guys actually have less ammo, which is kind of actually bizarre. So it's a bit of a trade-off, but you do get better like melee stats. Melee defense 42, much better. Melee attack 26, melee damage 36. Its health at 95, so it's a pretty tough unit. It's got more health than most of the sword and like spear units for Gondor. And its armor is at 45, which isn't great, but I guess you get that trade-off with the health. Missile block chance at 45, it's actually quite good in that. And its morale is actually not too bad, I imagine. It's actually above the standard at 34. It's actually at 38. And its accuracy is at 24, so it's a pretty accurate unit. Shame we don't see like how like much damage like the javelin does, but I get that. I guess like javelin's basically an instant kill. Basically, if you connect with the javelin, you're killing the unit. Or killing that man anyway. So a really solid unit. And this unit's also quite versatile. It can be a javelin man, and then after, I'm pretty sure you can form shield wall, so you can make it a melee unit, which is a really handy unit. So I really like to use the Peliga Marines. Certainly like lower money like games, this is a solid unit to bring. But anyway, I'm going to then move on to the cavalry now, and I'll see you guys in a moment. So here we are with the cavalry, and the cavalry is for Gondor is really, really good. They don't really have any low tier cavalry. They have these guys, which is the Gondor Cavalry, which is a trained unit. And then they have one other unit, which I'll come on to. And these Gondor Cavalry used to be the best cavalry available for Gondor. Recently, with the 4.0 update, they have done a bit of tweaking. And these are no longer the best unit to bring for your money. This is a very heavy spear cavalry unit. So it's not actually a shock cavalry unit. Though it is pretty good on the charge and will get a lot of kills. It is not shock. It's actually better in melee. But it has excellent armor, good melee defense, good melee attack. I mean, you expect so. It's going to cost you about 1,400. I think it's about 1,400 to bring. It's a really expensive unit. And its melee attack is at 37, which is pretty good for Cav. Maybe, yeah, I'd say it's like it's okay, put it like that. For like melee Cav, that's pretty good. Melee damage at 27, charge bonus at 60. So obviously, like, it's okay on the charge, but it's not insane. It's melee defense at 40, so it can hold itself in a like prolonged melee. Its armor at 90, so it's a little bit higher than the average like armor that we see at 80. Health at 130, so it can take a few hits from archers. Most cav can these days, but after a while, obviously, you will get through that armor and you'll start to kill this unit off quite quickly. Speed at 90, so it's a pretty quick unit, and its base morale is 35, so it's only slightly higher than most infantry. So it will still like break at with a fair few cavalry left in it. Missile block chance at 35, so it's okay, but it's not like gonna it's still gonna get hit quite easily, but like that. But yeah, it's a solid unit to bring, and certainly like once you send like the shock cav in, you could always like replace this unit, like replace the shock cav with this unit in combat. It's always a viable thing. I mean, even still, charging this unit in against shock cavalry is not all. It sometimes is okay. Certainly if it was like heavy shock cav or medium shock cav, it would do quite well because it is a very heavy spear cav, so it's got a good chance. But it's not got as good a chance as this unit, the Knights of the Silver Swan, which used to be a pretty useless unit, but they have since the Rise of Mordor dev team, they have since upgraded it and made it better. They've sorted it out. They've made it a viable unit to bring again. It used to be a big no-no to bring, but now it's certainly worth bringing again. Its melee attack is at 51. Its melee damage is at 32. Charge bonus 120. It's more than double. It is double of what the Gondor Cavalry can like produce. Its melee defense is not great though, as you can see there. 27. If you keep this unit in prolonged melee, it is going to get cut down. It relies on like smashing into the unit and then getting out the other side. It is a shock cavalry after all. It's an elite unit as well, as you can see there. Excellent armor, excellent melee attack, good charge bonus, as we mentioned. Speed still at 90. Doesn't really care that it's like a heavily clad unit. It is moving quickly. Missile block chance 35, so it's okay. It can like take a few punches, as you can see there with the armor at 90 and its health at 150. So it can certainly take a few punches. But yeah, and its morale is pretty good. So it's going to hold to like at 43. It's going to hold to the last few sort of men again as well. And you can bring this unit as a general unit, or you can bring it as a just a normal regular unit. You're only limited. I think you're limited to 3 though. So you will like if you're playing with like 4 cav max, you will have to bring some Gondor Cavalry, or just risk not bringing your other one. I will mention actually as well that the Fountain Guard and Citadel Guard are also available as generals. They are like the other general units. You don't have to bring a cav general. But yeah, there is one final unit that I have not mentioned, but you may have seen in the background that is very unique to Gondor, and that is the Trebuchet. Obviously, again, a very iconic unit from the Battle of Minas Tirith. The Trebuchet is like the catapult unit that Gondor has available. They obviously can just bring a normal catapult as well, but Trebuchet is another unit you can bring. It's I'm pretty sure it's a fixed unit. As you can see here, no wheels, so you can't move this unit. But it has insanely good range. As you can see, actually you can't see the range on here, but you can see the missile damage, which is very, very good. But yeah, that's like the only really good thing about it. It's actually apparently got good accuracy at 20. But yeah, it is actually pretty accurate. It will probably hit 9 times out of 10. It's a very pinpoint accurate thing. And as you can see there, missile damage 850. If you hit something with this trebuchet, it is dying. Whatever it is. And its ammunition at 20, so it's okay. But yeah, everything else is just kind of really for the crew, and it's who cares really about the crew? But it's a really cool unit. I really like it. I also like that I have like the Gondor like emblem embossed on like the on the trebuchet, which is awesome. Really does. But there you go. That is Gondor. Gondor, like a mighty faction. It is a really solid faction, worth bringing. Let me know in the comments what is your favorite Gondorian unit. Certainly, I'd say like one of mine has to be maybe like the Peneth Gillen, or maybe like the Citadel Guard. I really like those 2 units. They are like some solid units for various different reasons, and obviously, but who can like not hate the Gondor, like just basic Gondor infantry? Look awesome, they really do. But anyway, guys, if you've enjoyed, then do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're around here, and a comment to show your support. And until next time, I will see you in the next one.